Hi, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Alex Winningham, and you're watching True North TV. Today we have our very first and special guest, Katy Carpenter.
Hello.
Say hello to them,
Hello.
please. Thank you. All right, awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you're here today.
Thank you.
We'll start off by explaining what this True North TV is and where this is meant to be captured at. So with True North, we are discovering what is the thing that makes someone follow their true compass. Everyone inside of them has a arrow pointing north to where they're supposed to be going. And when you're not doing what you're truly meant to do, that compass will be off and you will feel it, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So Katy here is our first ever guest, and the reason that she is our first guest and a guest on the TV show to begin with is that she has followed her true north to a T. She has worked so hard in different roles with the senior care industry and took a leap of faith to do content 100%. And the name of her company is called Creative Content.
The content artist.
The content artist, sorry. The content artist. And I'll let her explain what that is here in just a second. But most importantly, that she has taken a leap of faith to discover her true passions and then to share it with the world, which is incredible and something very brave that not a lot of people do. So,
Thank you.
Katy, I would love to have you introduce yourself.
I'm Katy Carpenter, a friend of Alex Winningham, and we definitely connected through seniors and our love of senior care and that whole industry. And I was laid off from a job, and in that process, it allowed me to create what I'm doing now, which is the content artist, helping smaller companies generate their own content that speaks to the heart of their target. And what I mean by that, it comes in the form of a blog, a newsletter, an article being published somewhere, website content, anything related to the words that you want to say to your target market. So that's the short version.
Yes. So if you have a company or know someone who does and they're struggling to get their message out to the world, Katy Carpenter is your gal.
Yes.
You will see down in the comments a link to her Facebook page as well as her website, and then you'll be able to reach out to her and learn more, and I would encourage you to do so. So with that, we'll jump right in. We anticipate this taking about, an investment of 15 minutes of your time just to discover, what can help you follow your true north and your compass. So with that, we'll get started.
All right.
All right. So first thing I want to ask you is, was there a life event that happened to push you to where you needed to make a move to where you started following your passions?
Got it. So I have been a writer my entire life. That has been an underlying thread in everything that I've done, even as a loan officer, as a banker, all of those things. But when I jumped into the world of caring for seniors is really when I discovered that I wanted to help people write. I was able to do the newsletter for the company that I was working for, and it was my opportunity to share the stories of the residents as well as the staff. And that was kind of the first point, I would say, that really I started thinking about, I wonder if I could do this someday. But a specific event that pushed me to create this company was definitely be the layoff that just occurred a few months ago. It was a situation that I thought was going to be a great step forward for me with that company, and then getting laid off and having to create my own version of what I wanted my life to look like. I would also say reading this book called The Success Principles led me to this point as well, because I really started to envision what I wanted my life to look like, and it was nobody else's box.
Yeah.
It was all mine.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I'm curious, what was the first, do you remember the first article that you wrote?
The very first one?
Yeah.
Well, outside of newsletters for that company, I wrote an article about the acronym SAPCA, which is the Strategic Action Planning group, and it was an interview that I had done with the gentleman who's heading that organization up, and I wrote it for the Douglas County Seniors Council, and that was kind of my first taste of writing that really got people to think. So.
Now, were you always a writer in like high school, middle school?
Always, yeah. I'd started writing poetry, short stories. I used to draw pictures and write little captions under them, and I still have those, and I look at them and I laugh. But But my whole life, my mom would ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I would always say a writer.
Oh, that's so cool.
So,
yeah, and here you are.
And here I am. I'm doing it.
Yes. Yeah, and you're making a full-time income on it.
Yes.
And you are. This is it. This is what you do.
Yeah, this is what I do. And when I mentioned earlier creating my own box, that's been something a running theme in my life, because I've always pushed others to question, why do you do it this way? Is there a better way? Can you think about it differently? Things like that. And so that spirit has always been inside of me, of really getting people to think outside of the norm.
Right.
And I think one of the ways to do that is in writing and causing people to just really think about what they're doing.
Yes.
And reading and saying and being.
And so really thinking about what you're doing. I know for me, I've journaled, and that has helped me to reflect on the decisions I'm making and what happened that day and stuff like that. But I mean, it's literally just like 5-word sentences, so nothing like.
But that's okay. I mean, anything that I believe what you write about comes about also. And so journaling is a documentation of your day or your year, whatever that might be. And it is good to reflect on that, because it allows you to see where you've been.
Yeah.
And also it can remind you of where you wanted to go at that moment in time.
Right.
And so it all goes back to finding your true purpose, right, and your true direction. We're searching for that for a very long time.
Yes.
And journaling can really help you reflect on that.
Great. Well, so that leads right into my next question is, how do you determine if you're following where you're supposed to be going on your path?
Yeah.
Like that your compass is pointing in the north direction.
In my case, I can't speak for everybody, but in my case, my gut will tell me for sure. And also the people around me. If I am surrounding myself with people who feed into me and who are uplifting and encouraging, yet not afraid to tell me, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but it's not making sense. And allowing me the freedom to talk about that and think that through. Yeah. That's a huge directive for me. But my gut has always been my biggest guide, I guess. And in my mind, that's God. Yeah. So my gut is God, right? And he's telling me, yes, this is a good path. And sometimes the good path is not the easy path. I mean, maybe more often than not, it's not the easy path. If something is easy, it's typically not right for you, because it just is too good to be true.
Yeah. Awesome. Unless you fall in love.
Yes. Yes, that can happen easily, and I think you should always follow your heart. So, yes.
So, like with the whole gut feeling, for people who don't know what follow your gut means, I know I heard that all the time. I'm like, well, how do I know the difference between indigestion and going in the wrong direction, right? Totally. Yeah. So can you describe to our audience what following your gut, what that feels like?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, in my case, when I say follow my gut, everybody has an inner voice, and some of us choose to actually listen to that voice, and some people don't. That voice is your gut and your conscience, or any number of words can describe what that gut is. But to me, it's your conscience. It's kind of your inner guide. And when you are following the right path, a lot of times you come across situations that you're like, ooh, I could go do this. I could go do this. And then you're like, wait, I want to focus here. How does that help? And that moment is my gut going, hey, Katie, pay attention. And then it feels hard, but easy at the same time. And what I mean by that is it's hard to walk your true path consistently. Right. But when you are doing it, things fall into place making it easier for you to continue on that path.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that really answers your question. It's hard to describe a gut feeling, but that's my thought process around it.
Right. And it does make sense in a way that you're following, like, are things happening around me that are leading me towards my core desires and what God truly has set out for me? Or are things kind of just becoming harder? Like, I know you're saying, like, harder when it's a challenge and you're growing, there's a difference. Then things are getting harder because you're messing up.
Correct.
You're making
or
bad
roadblocks
decisions.
are put in front of you.
Oh,
and roadblocks can either be a learning experience that you have to learn how to climb over that.
Yeah.
Or it's something put in your way to say, that's not the right direction.
Correct.
So that discovery process is really important, being self-aware of what feeds you, what feels good versus what kind of drains you is really important.
So how did you become self-aware?
That's actually a longer process than some. I was raised by a counselor. My mother is a counselor, a family.
Lucky you.
Yeah. I got all kinds of tests done, personality tests, IQ tests, all kinds of things. And she would always ask me questions. It was never just an acceptance of my answer. It was always, why? Tell me why you feel that way. Or tell me, like, that word is not making sense to me. So can you describe what you're feeling differently? So it made me, as a child, really think about my emotion, reactions of other people, because if I think that I'm delivering myself in a certain way and the person in front of me is reacting in a negative way, I need to reflect, and is it me or not,
Right.
And so sometimes it is you and sometimes it's not, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it made me aware of my own mind and really be able to describe my reaction or my feeling at any given moment. So it was a lifelong journey to self-awareness, and I'm still on that path too. So
yeah. I mean, I met a lady last night who was maybe in her. I mean, she looked like she was in her 50s, but I'm sure she was in her late 60s. And I was like, "You are stunning," and she's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And I was like, "No, you are gorgeous, like just glowing." And I said, "Is there anything you did throughout your life that was contributed towards your your gorgeousness?" And she goes, "I've just been really happy my whole life."
That's amazing.
Yeah. And she said, instead of being like, when this happens, then I'll be, and she goes, miserable.
Right.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
It does.
Well, I would ask you, what are your top 3 tools that you use to heart check yourself to make sure you're doing what Katy Carpenter was put here to do?
Top 3. Okay. I don't know. I mean, most people maybe wouldn't count their daughter as a tool in their kit, but my daughter is a tool for me because I am a single parent, and she is, my favorite person on the planet. And when she is not reacting to me in a way that I feel is helping us grow as a mother and daughter unit, that's when I know I need to check myself. Because she's 13. I am the adult in the situation, right?
Right.
And so I am the one that needs to be her guide. And so I would say she's a huge tool for me to recognize if I'm being Katy and mom and, a friend and paying attention to her in the way that she needs. I would say my close friends are actually a huge asset to me. I had mentioned earlier, having them be unafraid to call me out. I need that. I need that. We cannot only call ourselves out all the time. We have to have a trusted set of people around us.
Yeah.
I would say going to church is big for me. But yeah, so I would say my daughter, my close friends, and my faith.
Yeah. Sweet. Those are very awesome tools.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the last question I have, we're running up right on 15 minutes, so this is good, is what would you tell your teenage self?
First of all, don't be afraid. But maybe a little more important than that is don't give up. and don't, when I say don't give up, I mean just keep trying to figure yourself out, because you will.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Keep trying to figure yourself out, because you will.
Because you will.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get there. And
Yeah.
when you're 15 or 18 or whatever it is, you don't know anything. You know, you think that you do, but you are still in that process of self-discovery. And so patience.
Yep.
You know, have patience with yourself.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, I'm not a teenager, but you just helped me, so thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I am so glad that if you've made it to this part of the video, thank you.
Yes.
Please, your comments and feedback are very valuable to Katy and I.
Yes.
You know, this thing is just starting, but you know, the goal is to get it better and better. So any feedback you have, good or bad, would be much appreciated.
Yes.
So that's it. We're tuning out. Again, check out Katy's website and her link below, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.